Things to get done on the farm today. I think I'm going to move a couple of the Subarus around. I think I'm going to try to get the SVX parts car up out of the woods and to the shop. I really need to do the spring service on the 766 and on the 574. I have not changed the oil since I bought it at the end of last summer, and I don't know how old the oil is, but I mean, it's full of oil, so I'm not too worried about that. I already bought filters for both tractors, if I recall correctly. I just need to go get oil, because I don't think I've got enough. But first act of business, we're going to move the second gen Outback Shell, get it back in line, because it's sitting out of line with the other cars. And probably going to move the first gen Legacy sedan. I should be able to start it, though. When I parked it, it was still running, so hopefully it still runs, but we shall see shortly.
Been needing to clear this spot for quite a while. I've had quite a few limbs and trees down around the farm, and former boss, when I was with Snap-on, had me take out a couple trees with a buddy of mine at his house, and we had to take out a fence, and there was some toolbox delivery pallets and things like that. So that's some of the stuff that's in there, but majority of this was dead or cut trees and limbs. I would hook them to the back of the 766 International and drag them up here to the edge of the pasture, and as I couldn't really get any closer to the tree line by dragging it, as you see, I still got several trees here. This one here is pretty much rotted. It's probably been here about 5 years. I can probably push it with the 574, no problem. It'll break up as I push it, just like that tree and that did there. This is a new one. I cut this one down about 2 months ago. This pine was right behind my house. It was issue, I got a outdoor light beside the house, and it hasn't been burning for the better part of 7-8 months. I've been going back and forth with Duke Energy about it. Had called in numerous repair reports. They came out, replaced the light with an LED fixture from the old incandescent one. That didn't fix it. It didn't work. They came out and replaced it a second time. They were out, I think, 5 times in total, till the last guy came out and figured out there wasn't no daggum power to the light. I don't know why you'd replace a daggum outdoor light without even checking to see if there's power. Looks like that'd be the first thing you do, but I guess not. So he finally determined that the power line that was going to that service pole with the light had been severed, and that happened due to the wisteria my grandmother planted on the property that has gone absolutely crazy. I cannot do anything with it. It had grown up a tree and got around the service line and pulled the service line in half between the span where it came off of the back of the house and where it went to that service line for powering that outdoor light. So I had to cut that tree. That tree was in the way. This one here was all tangled up in. As you see, there's wisteria and I believe some poison oak and something else, probably some ivy and maybe some Virginia creeper tied up in there. But cut that tree. It was actually 2 together. Cut that big old pine because it was leaning towards the house and I didn't like that. I wanted to go ahead and get it cut and safely on the ground. I don't want to have to worry about a storm coming up this summer and that tree going through the house. So got that all situated. Had the guy come out there to rerun the line, but as much rain as we've had, I believe we've nearly got our normal yearly rainfall in the last 6-7 months here in South Carolina. And he came out in I believe it was F350, F450 service truck, 2-wheel drive truck. He said they don't allow them to have 4-wheel drive service trucks anymore. That was a big mistake. He got about 5 feet behind the pole and buried the truck. I had to take the 766 and yank him out. And that was, I don't know, beginning of January, middle of January. We said, well, we'll wait till it dries up some where you can finally get your truck in here, because he had to go around to the back of the house to a pole that splits the power between service to the house and service to the pole, and rerun a new strand from that pole to the light pole. So here we are now, beginning almost middle of March. I still don't have the power line rerun to my night light because it is still just as wet and marshy and boggy out here as can be. It just quit raining. I believe it rained Saturday and maybe part of Sunday. It's what, today is Tuesday, I think. I've done lost track of my days. But yeah, it's gonna be a good long while before it dries up enough for him to get that service truck back behind the house to fix that light, which is aggravating. But anyway, yeah, I needed to get that spot cleared up. Looks a lot better out there. I'm gonna probably get out there and cut the rest of that mess here soon, or push the rest of that mess here out of the way soon. Need to get to work on my mama's double wide that I inherited. I'm gonna make that one a rental property. I got a ton of junk to clear out of it and trash. And I got those 2-3 oak trees behind the house. There's a couple limbs over the roof. I need to get rid of them. There's 2 that snapped off back here. I need to lay them out. I really need to come out and clear this whole fence line. This was barbed wire fence all the way across, but as you can see, there's a ton of little cedar trees up in there. And we know why that is. Birds come sit on the fence line, they poop, seeds go down by the fence, and you get a bunch of trees sprouting up everything else. There's another spot I need to clear out of here. There's some equipment in here I need to get out. Well, I don't really need to get out. It ain't no use to me. There's a little disc harrow here. And I think there's a sickle mower and a turning plow and a scraper blade, but it's busted, it ain't no good. I need to take it and haul it off to the scrap metal plant. A couple other things, but it's just briars done growed up here bad. There's a bunch of these trees. I don't know what the heck they are, but they got some hellacious daggum thorns on them. They will eat you up, but I need to get that all cut out of there and clear that out. That's a mess. I need to cut out around my around my pawpaw's Super C. I've been saying for the last 6 years I was gonna get this thing going, but not having a building to put it in makes it a project that ain't gonna get done. I fear it's a little too far gone right now. Engine seized up in it. There wasn't a flapper on the exhaust. Dad always put a 5-gallon bucket over it, which wasn't great because over time and UV light, that bucket broke and shattered up, and then water got down the exhaust manifold. The engine seized up right now. I took the spark plugs out, poured Marvel Mystery Oil in all 4 cylinders, trying to let it creep in there, seep down around them rings, hopefully unlock it. It did not work, so not sure what I'm gonna do on that. I guess I might pull the head and then punch the take the bottom end loose and pull the crank, the rods, and the liners all together, if I can even do it that way. I think the liners go from the top, actually. That's probably not gonna work. Anyway, I got a lot of junk out here around the silo. I need to, around the grain bin, I need to clear up. Every daggum spring it starts growing like wildfire. And it's so bad that, and the reason it does it is because I can't get the daggum bush hog close enough, because there's a concrete pad around the bottom of this thing, and it just starts getting out of hand where I'm not cutting it. And then there's a storage building here. I need to clean this out so I can start using it. A bunch of old junk in there, but I got a ton of junk growed up here I need to cut off, especially for everything starts growing, which the grass is already getting green. Springtime's coming quick. Lots of flowers sprouting all around. I need to get in here and start killing this, cutting this before it gets out of hand again. But definitely need to get that gone. Need to get that pile gone. Need to cut on, clear all around Dad's old shop. Got a bunch of old tires and batteries and stuff of Dad's to dig out of here. Don't want to go flying through there and bust a tire on the tractor or break the bush hog all to pieces. I've done it too many times already. Got all this to clear out in front of that building. Actually just cut all the vines and stuff off the front of it. Got in that building for the first time in about a decade, but I think I mentioned that in the video on the Snap-on toolbox restoration, but I'm not sure if that's going to come out before this video or not. But I got all this mess here to clean up. I cleaned out a ton of mess right here in this patch between my mama's old house and my house. After looking at things, there's a stump there I need to get rid of so I can flatten, smooth all that out. I need to get all that cut. That's all wisteria. It's all going to be coming back and taking over everything here in the next couple weeks, I'm sure. Need to get that tree down. It's getting in the power line. I wanted to keep a couple trees here in the middle for some shade, but I believe I'm gonna let all these go and level this all out and let some grass grow here. As well as there's 4 or 5 trees in here that have done died. That apple tree stays, that apple tree stays. I planted both of them apple trees when I was about 4 or 5 years old with my grandma. So they stay just because, and they do put out apples. So clear all this mess out. I don't understand why it's even here. I guess it was just a privacy barrier between the highway and where my dad's race shop and yada 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 stuff. Cover up farm equipment and everything like that, I guess. I don't know. The pecan trees are fine. I need to go down there and trim that one up. That one uprooted during Hurricane Hugo and broke off, and there's a small one that's done grown back, but it always sprouts out of the broken fragments of the trunk. Need to deal with those before they get out of hand. I really just want to clear all this mess out because it's nothing but briars and everything else gets in here along with those trees. I cleared a little bit of this up during the winter time. I need to get that stump gone. Need to get all this mess here cleared. There used to be big old pine trees all around this house, humongous ones, and every time a storm come up, they would sway like crazy. And anyone knows anything about pine trees, you know, they're not very stable, especially in high winds. They basically are like a blade of grass. They got a giant taproot that goes down the middle, and that's about it. They're not like an oak tree, you know, that puts roots out in all directions and pretty daggum steadfast in the ground. So there was a stump for one there, stump for one's there, stump for one's there. There's 1, 2, 3, there's like 4 in here, but most of those have rotted and finally gone away. And then over here, I did a ton of work this winter. This had all gotten grown up with wisteria. It was a gigantic pile of wisteria. And there's 2 more tree stumps there and there. And there's another tree stump there. But yeah, camera battery died. All this was wisteria. There's a bunch of tree trunks in here. I cleared a ton of this stuff out. So all the way to that pole from here, that's the light that's burnt out I was talking about earlier. All back here, off to the side of the house. It was it's all in the AC unit, which I don't think is any good anyway. It had gotten in the fig tree. That's where you can see it's up there in that power line. That daggum stuff started pulling the soffit and face you off the daggum house. That stuff ain't no good. There's a row of T-post and chicken wire I need to get up. That's where I had a garden, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago now. I had the rest of my gardens behind my mama's trailer. That's where that big pine was a cutout. I need to get all them limbs up. I need to get that pine done. I need to get all these. I hate to cut down trees just to cut down trees, but at this point, I need to take them, almost all of them out. I'm gonna leave that big oak there, but almost all of that needs to get out because that's nothing but wisteria. Wisteria's done got all over them, choked them out, killed them, broke them, pulled them to the ground. Here you can see where that other tree was. You can see this gigantic wisteria vine. And you can see where it's all up in that power line right now, and it's all up in that tree. I need to get all that stuff pulled down. I need to clear all this behind the house before it starts growing again. I cut a lot of it off the house, but got a lot of work still to do. Got to cut these trees. Like I said, I don't want to. I'm not just out here killing trees to kill trees. But you can see right there, you can see that bend in that tree where that wisteria is done latched on, and it is pulling it to the ground. This stuff is no joke. It pulled that tree to the ground there and uprooted it. It's twisting this one over. But probably gonna cut 2 or 3 of these trees. That holly tree, I guess, will stay. And I plan to cut every single one of these trees in here because I don't want them tangled up over the garage, because the wisteria's got a way to get up on the garage that way. And it's close to these power lines. And I just need to get all that mess out of there. But yeah, that was quite the rambling around and tour and talking. I don't know if I'm gonna tack that on the end of the video I shot earlier, if this is gonna be a standalone on plans for the farm and plans for the future. But if you were able to stick around through the whole thing. I hope you enjoyed. I guess I'll go ahead and cut out this video here. And thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next video.